everybody, welcome back to my channel / our channel. And
Not
today,
really mine, but hers.
well, today we are filming in our home because it's freezing outside in the garage and it's dark. You can't really see anything very well. But anyways, today we're going to talk about
The likes and the dislikes of the Polaris after about 296, close to 300 miles on it so far, and just give you our take on it. And then later on, we'll talk about something that we talked about in one of our previous videos, and so on. But anyways, starting with some of the likes. Obviously, we've gone over it before that I've talked about the suspension. I absolutely love the dynamic suspension. Yes, the springs need to be changed. Whether you go with spring therapy or you go with, shock therapy, or somebody else, it's highly needed. You can't put any weight in it, otherwise you completely compress your springs. That is just something that's so amazing to be able to literally press a button on your steering wheel and go from soft to firm, or press the oh crap button and to firm it up so you don't bottom out constantly. And like I said, we always ride in sport majority of the time just because to me it handles the best. So that's one of my favorite things about it is the suspension. Obviously the ride command is great. It shows you basically everything you need it to show you. It gives you your radio. You can go through all the different settings on it between the radio, the gauges, the navigation, which I'll talk about, which is, I like it, but it'll talk about more of it, why I don't like it as much as I wish it could be better. Going on from there, it has to do with one thing that we added aftermarket was the heater, and the heater is awesome for when it's cold out. No idea if just the fan blowing in the summer is going to work or in the spring, but for right now the heater does work really well, and the defrost works, I would say, about 80%. I do wish they could actually get it to go a little bit more, but it does work pretty well compared to not having anything at all. Going on from there, you have the headlights on the machine. I kind of talked a little bit about that, and the headlights are truly amazing. I think they're far superior than most other ones on the market. Even in just a normal, it's amazing how bright they are, and then you go to the high beams and it's even brighter. To me, the high beams are at least triple the amount of light that other machines put out. When I'm saying that, I'm comparing it to the Kawasaki, more so because I went out and did a night ride with my cousin and there was no comparison between the two. And then us having the rigid light bar, of course, it's a great additional feature. I actually didn't need to use it that much unless we did a few climbs. Other than that, the high beams were more than plenty to at least see from the trails that we did at Windrock. And we only had about a quarter of the moon. Going on from there, I've talked about the other accessory of having the spare tire carrier, and it seems to work very well compared to some of the other ones. At least the Polaris brand. I don't know about the other brands that they make for this machine. And then I do really like the rear cargo area. Speaking of the rear cargo area, something that's really nice about this is cleaning the machine is very easy. You can pull the chairs, both chairs are removed, the whole entire chair, versus I know some machines you can't take the chairs out. You maybe just take the bottom or the top part. But we can take ours completely out. We can pull the whole rear thing that we talked about with the 4 screws, and you can clean very easily. I did do the maintenance myself, and the oil change I would say is pretty easy to do. I do wish they made it a little bit easier to get to the oil filter, but it's not that bad. You just gotta be able to get your hand in there and you can untwist it pretty easily. And then obviously filling it's no big deal. Going on from the likes to the dislikes, or the things
I want to add something to the likes. I gotta say that he might have, I don't know if you mentioned it before or not, but the comfort of the seats is actually really, really nice. And I would have thought that the way the seat belts were would have been uncomfortable, but I personally don't think they are, because what we had before, what was the Honda?
It just had a normal lap belt to it.
Oh
with
my
the
God,
strap.
that thing just killed, would kill my shoulder. It hurt like heck, and I'd always just put it behind me, but this seems like really comfortable, just in general. Anyway.
Opposite for me. I actually didn't like the 6-point harness, but I'm glad that she does.
Yeah.
I got rid of my top part of my 6-point harness just because it drove me absolutely crazy.
But I'm also just a little passenger that is sit there and enjoy the ride, where he's got to be able to see and move and be more, I would assume,
attentive to what's going on. I didn't like the 6-point harness. I thought I would when I originally got it. That was not the case. But so I ended up removing that part of my seat belt, and I just have basically a lap belt now. But I hopefully won't go out of the machine, and if I do, I still feel like I'm pretty strapped in with how it's literally right there, and it straps you in pretty well. Now going on to the dislikes, or the things that I wish Polaris could change. Real quick, I've talked about it before, the rear panel is absolutely terrible. They completely need to redo that and make it fit better, or actually seal the back area, because it does keep, I'd say, 75% of the stuff off of you, but for the amount of money that it is, they could easily make that far better. Going on, the CVT temp, I really do wish they had a CVT temp gauge, so you could actually see what your CVT was. Kawasaki has it, and I think it's awesome that they do. Why Polaris didn't do it, I'm not really sure, but it's something that hopefully they'll look at doing in the future, just so you kind of know where you're running, and you obviously have an engine temp, but that only tells you so much. I'll talk about low gear at the very end. That is what I was referring to earlier. The heat in the cab is great in the fall and winter, and that's all we've experienced so far. In the summer and spring, really not looking forward to the excess heat that comes through the front of the machine, and I've tried to do a little bit of blocking off of heat with ours, and it has helped a little bit, but they still create a massive amount of heat from running, and wish they could do a little bit better job of stopping the heat from coming through with the radiator being in front. The noise of the machine, purely personal preference. I know some people love the machines being loud, and I don't mind if the machine is loud if I'm going really fast and whatnot, but I do wish you could a little bit quieter when you're going through the woods. But that's just part of it. That's one thing the Honda was really nice about. It did have a much quieter engine and just overall experience. But we listen to the music majority of the time, so it kind of deadens out the sound of the machine. Just something, wish there could be something done about decreasing the noise of it. The GPS, this goes back to the ride command. GPS is great, but for where we ride at Windrock and then the TVA, Wildlife Management, they do not have a very good mapping of it. I wish you could actually go and download that area, and basically like a Windrock app, or I wish Polaris would allow users to go and put things into a separate drive or a separate area on it, because some of the maps are not even accurate on where you go. You think I've gone past numerous trails and then discovered, oh, I went the wrong way, because to me the map isn't better. If anybody out there has advice on that, please let me know. I have updated the maps on it. I still think that Polaris should allow people to do a little bit more with inputting their own stuff onto some kind of map interface, so that you can actually go to a trail and not be constantly lost.
Yeah, because we're trying to find somewhere, I don't know if it was a waterfall, or we were trying to get up on this one trail, and we were lost, because we started going one way and we're like, nah, this doesn't seem right. And then we went back, and it didn't matter how you zoomed, like when you zoomed in, I don't know,
you weren't actually on the trail. The trail would be here, and the machine would be here, and then you'd have a trail up here.
And you're like, well, how do I get up there?
And you're kind of like, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And like I said, it's just personal preference too. Once again, maybe it's just us, but I will say, like, the Windrock app is a lot better than the GPS on the ride command. In normal streets and normal driving is great, but we normally don't take it on the road that much. So it does a little bit for us, but I wish they could do a little bit more. Going to what I was referring to is the low gear. The machine obviously has so much power, it's ridiculous, and for any trails that we do and the riding that we do. Obviously out in the desert, you need that extra power so you can get through the sand. But low gear here, it does not do very well, in my opinion, climbing. So that was something that we did have addressed, and we did do a gear reduction. We'll do a short video on that on our next one, just talking about it a little bit, what we learned and so on. And then once we get to take it out again, we'll tell you if it changed things or not. So they do need to change that from Polaris, in my opinion. They definitely could make it look geared lower. Other than that, I'm not sure that we have really that many more complaints about it. I mean, that was the likes and dislikes of it. Obviously, people have their own opinions of things. Obviously, I had to put seat risers on it because I just didn't like the visibility that I had out of the machine. But once again, that's just personal preference on that. If any of you guys have any questions or would like us to go in further depth into any of the things we talked about, or if somebody has any ideas about that map situation, please let me know. I would love to figure that out to make our life more enjoyable, and then I can share that experience with other people as well. Alright, one more dislike about the machine. It's not really so much the machine, I would say it's about the brakes. I don't know if other people had the same issue. I know a few people talked about the braking on it isn't as great. That's one thing I do wish Polaris would do, is do some kind of engine braking on it to help you not always have to use your brakes. Honda had that on their transmission, which I understand it's a little bit different, but they could do that. I don't know, it's gonna be kind of hard to show you guys, but if you look at this pad right here, that was the rear inner brake pad. This is what a brand new one looks like. I know it's kind of a little bit hard to see, but it shows you the difference of thickness. With only 300 miles on the machine, these two, both rear inner brake pads, have nothing left to them. They're almost crumbled down to absolutely nothing and down to the bare metal. So we did have to replace the two inner ones. I only replaced the two inner ones, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm not sure if it's something wrong with my brakes. I did kind of ask the dealership about it, and they said, well, it all depends on who it is and how they ride and whatnot. And I honestly don't feel like I'm doing anything that unusual with it. I mean, when you're going down a hill, you don't have much of a choice but to brake. So not sure why that is the way it is, but if anybody wants a short little video on how to change the brakes, something I did plan on possibly doing, and just something that's kind of frustrating to me. 300 miles is not a lot of time for your brakes to be completely gone on the back rear inner ones. Front ones look good, so can't really complain about that. So I don't know if you had any other dislikes or anything. One thing I meant to say earlier, Ride Command, the front and rear camera, I absolutely love that feature. I know I talked about it a little bit before, but it really is awesome to be able to back up and you know you're not going to hit anything. And then obviously going forward, the same thing. You can kind of see it if there's a certain rock that you want to try to avoid. And those are two awesome features that you can put on the machine. Right, obviously the rear does come with it, but you have to add the front. So, well, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, we'll do a short little video about the gear reduction. Learn some stuff about that, and I'd like to share that with you.
Yeah, and hopefully we're going out again here shortly because I miss it.
Yeah.
We've just been really busy.
I already kind of said I have a rider's remorse by not going out, so definitely want to get out there and go, but we've just been crazy busy with life.
Yes, and we really appreciate all the comments and questions. Keep giving it to us, you know, we like it, and please subscribe. We appreciate everyone, all of you, and we will see you in our next video.
Don't forget to like the channel.